Hey, welcome to Village Church Sermon Q&A. Pastor Michael and Pastor Alex here with you on June 20th, 2021. We both preached a sermon on practical evangelism in a hurting world. And the question that came out of that, Pastor Alex, is how do I avoid becoming a victim when I've actually been hurt? And really one of the things we talked about is one of the Apostle Paul's most strategic evangelism tools is his own weakness shared in authenticity.
Yes.
And we talked about victimhood. We basically said we're not victims, we're overcomers.
Right.
But what if I've actually been hurt? So what would you say to somebody?
So your pain, the thing that you experience, the thing that you have hurt from, in the truest sense of the word, you are a victim.
Yeah.
Right. You have been victimized. The question, though, is what are you going to allow that reality to do to you?
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. The world today has kind of become like church camp. Let me tell you what I mean by that. So in church camp, you know, you're a high schooler with other high schoolers. You go away for like, let's say 5 days, and you have these amazing experiences in worship, and people share teaching, and you get to do things and interact with like the same group of people every day for 5 days. And then inevitably, at some point, there is testimony time.
Testimony time. Everybody, we're having testimony time.
That's exactly right.
And the ducklings would flock.
Yeah, they all come together.
Yes.
And then people start sharing the stories of their life. And what's really interesting is that the person with the most impactful story at church camp was the person who had the worst thing happen to them.
Oh my gosh. Do you know, as you're saying this, so many stories are flooding through my brain. And I remember getting there and it was like, okay, there's like 3 people who are ultimately going to go, you, me.
That's right.
Me, right?
That's right.
And like,
how can we outdo each other in
not in love,
but in having the worst thing happen to us, right? How can we tell our story in such a way that people will believe we have been victimized the most?
My home was broken into by intruders. My home was broken into by 13 intruders. My home was broken into by 40 intruders. And they took our home, all the lumber inside too, and the walls stayed up. I'm like, what is happening right now? Now, as I say, even as we jest a little bit, like there were actual legitimate, like terrible pains and things that happened. But like, if you weren't in the upper echelon of pain, you kept your mouth shut.
Right. Yeah. You didn't have anything to say during testimony time if you didn't have that worst pain.
Totally. And the dumbest looking kid in the room is the kid who started off. And they're like, yeah, my parents have been fighting. And then some kid's like, I've been addicted to drugs since I was 11.
Right. Immediately. It's like, oh, goodness. We've gone to the nth degree already. Right.
Yes. It's it's interesting when we talk about becoming a victim that in the Christian life, we would never look at somebody and say, you know, that thing done to you or that thing you did, that's now your identity.
Yeah, right.
But it's interesting in the world, what they want to do is take the thing done to you or the thing you did and say, this is now who you are.
It's what's most important.
This is the most important thing about you. And that's why we say, as Christians, whatever has been done to you, your identity is not victim. Yeah. Your identity is overcomer and child of God.
In Christ, yeah.
And so there's a huge difference here. So pain is I found often used in 3 primary ways. So if I have been victimized, whether it is by another person or just I'm a victim of unfortunate circumstances. It could be a car accident that left me in a ton of pain and hurting, crippled, et cetera. I mean, all these terrible things.
Perfectly legitimate, right? Yeah.
So pain is used, number 1, for self-exaltation. And this is what we see in the church camps, right?
This is the church camp thing. Right?
And in church camp world, now the whole world, like you just said, the whole world's a church
like
camp.
This now. Yeah, right.
You are the most powerful person. You have all the control if you have the worst pain. So young people particularly are learning to leverage their pain for self-exaltation, social clout to increase their social status. Yep. And that's a real thing. But number 2, and this is historically how it's been used, which is for self-loathing, not self-exaltation. We go into our brains and we just hate ourselves. Yeah. It's amazing that when somebody can violate us, how it makes us hate ourselves. Like what an evil twist that the world or our flesh or the devil is putting into our brain. Yeah. But there's a third use of pain, which is God exaltation. Yeah. And God wants us to use our pain in a way that brings him glory and shows his healing and redemptive power in our life. And it doesn't mean we don't feel it. Doesn't mean we're cold. It doesn't mean we're not empathetic. It doesn't mean we have times of just honestly loathing and like, what, like this is hard and sackcloth and ashes. Like that can all happen. It doesn't mean we don't talk about it. It doesn't mean we don't share in church camp time.
Yeah. And I feel like sometimes there can be a bifurcation between these things. Like, I can't experience weakness and at the same time, oh no, you just need to like look at God. Like somehow having joy in God and experiencing the weakness of your pain are somehow challenged against each other. Whereas like actually no, in the middle of your pain, in the middle of your weakness, it can cause you actually like to turn to God. You can have joy in God in the midst of your pain, right?
Which is a crazy thought.
Yeah.
All right. So Alex, you and I penned 4 reasons about why God would even allow pain and what it means for us to use this pain in a way that glorifies God. So what's the first one?
Yeah, so the first one is to lean on God and not push him away. There's a really strong temptation when we're in the midst of our pain to want to blame that on God, but if our pain can actually direct us to find God to be the one who sustains us, that we see the Jesus who entered into our pain, the pain of human existence, and like took that pain on himself, right? We see a God who empathizes with us and is with us in the midst of pain, and he becomes kind of the sustainer of life for us. That is a really God-glorifying attitude.
So in pain, God wants you to lean on him. The second one we put is to worship him, which is so counterintuitive. Because to lean on somebody says, I think you can help me. You can provide comfort me. To worship somebody is next level.
Right.
And the opposite of worship is to wag your finger at them. And so a lot of people run from God. And but there's a whole bunch of people who are like, you could have stopped this.
Right.
And you didn't. And it's interesting because there's not even an implicit. There's an explicit accusation. You owe me.
You did this, right?
You did this. You could have stopped this. You're responsible for this. And whatever you are, I don't want that. And so you pull a Job who somehow found in him to worship God, despite the fact that God could have stopped what happened. All right, what's the third one?
All right. So the third one could be to provide comfort. Now, we've been talking about how your pain can direct you towards God. Your pain actually can also be a tool to direct you to love others, to direct you towards others. So typically what you can do is you can go internal, go to self-loathing, right? Let your pain and understandable response, right? But your pain gives you glasses that you did not previously have. You have the ability to see other people's pain and understand what they're going through to the extent that you could not previously, which gives you the ability to enter in and sit with them in that pain.
Yeah, that glasses thing, like there are things you can't see until you've experienced it, and that's powerful. Here's the last one. God allows us to go through pain, and what he wants for us is to learn to show forgiveness and not bitterness. When you have been hurt by someone, the world will tell you, the devil will tell you, your flesh will give you the impulse to be filled with bitterness. Well, all that does is corrupt you. It's crazy how a person can harm us, and then the harm just doesn't stop because internally we continue the harm by corrupting our own selves.
We're hurting ourselves.
And then the Bible, Hebrews says that when we become bitter, we defile others. It's interesting. So now this harm done to me, I take this harm and I amplify it, and then I am like contagious gangrene.
Put it
and
on
I give
you,
it
right?
to you, and it becomes this event becomes this event, and that is not the way God wants it to be. And if anybody understands this, Jesus is on the cross, the greatest victim in the truest sense of the word ever. And somehow he is modeling for us, like, I will not let these people corrupt me. I will work to forgive them.
Yeah, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do.
Yeah, it's powerful. So, so Alex, our encouragement to everybody is lean on God, worship God, provide comfort now that you have the lenses to see things, and show forgiveness, not bitterness. So, all right. Well, I want to thank you for joining us on Sermon Q&A. And I know there are a lot of you who are watching who have probably had some pretty frustrating, terrible things done to you, or you have done some really terrible things. And I just want to encourage you, in Christ, those things are not your identity. You are an overcomer. You're a child of God. That is who you are. And so we love you. We love just being your pastors and serving you in this way. So join us next time on Sermon Q&A. We got more questions to come.